Hi everybody, I'm Pat Evans. I'm here at Bistro Vita, part of Essence Restaurant Group, along with Grove and the Greenwell. I'm here with the general manager of Bistro Vita, Brad. And we're just going to ask some questions and have another live chat. This is our second live chat. Our first was with Brewery Vivant last month. So here we go.
Hi, Grand Rapids.
All right, Brad. So tell me, what are the benefits of being downtown as a restaurant?
Being downtown, I mean, we're at the center of the mecca of what we've built here in Grand Rapids. It's really become a place for people to come down, enjoy. They've built so much into the city. We're right next to the arena, which is a big plus. It just so much to do and see, and new events coming every year to downtown. It's really become a great place to be.
Okay. How about being, it's a large restaurant. What are the positives of that and maybe even the downsides?
The positives, we can fit a lot of people at once, which with our other two restaurants are a bit smaller. So, you pay for more space, but at the same time you have a lot more ability to do other things and events and to really expand what you can do. We do wine dinners, we do chef's tables, we do all kinds of things under the sun to make sure that we're getting all out of the space that we have. Sometimes it's hard because you're a little slower than we tend to be having a little more open space.
Okay. And I kind of left this out in the start, but we were talking about it before we even went live. What are the downsides to being downtown? Maybe parking, for one.
The river overflowing. But that didn't really affect us a bit. Some of the streets and whatnot down here. But parking can be an issue on the weekends, but not normally. I mean, they've been doing a better job about keeping the lots open constantly, making sure that the metered spots are open in the evenings still, and just that's really the only issue is the parking part. Other than that, the commerce downtown has become more and more every year. Our sales have increased every year. It's never an issue of overcrowding, or a lot of people think when more restaurants move in that it's a bad thing. We look at it as more people come down then. It's built our business up incredibly. So.
Okay. Van Andel Arena is right next door. And so obviously you have a lot of events, Griffin's games, concerts.
Sure.
Tomorrow we have Grand Valley's graduation. So how do you prepare for those types of rushes?
We've been here a long time, and we've learned from our mistakes. We're not perfect, but we try our best. We really staff up. You have to. On those nights, we just have enough people, and through experience in a long time, we really know, not exactly, but to a pretty good tee of what we need to make it successful on the night, so people aren't feeling it. We'd like to be busy and packed without having those people really feel that. And we get that comment a lot, and just saying it. Yeah, you guys take really good care of us, and we can't believe it because there's 500 people in your restaurant, But at the same time, we've done it for a long time and learned from our mistakes. So.
Right, and that's also one of my questions that I have prepared is, you do have a lot of regulars, it seems like. How do you maintain that top-notch service from a staff standpoint?
It's not easy. We've really built a culture. A lot of our employees have been here for so long. We do things big time as a team-oriented event here, and with all of our restaurants within Essence. We built a culture where we really want to take care of our employees. We want to make a fun environment, but we take that customer very, very seriously, and it's something we've never ever let go of and never ever will. It's very important to our business. It's one of our top philosophies in what we do, and they just. I think people really respect that. We treat everybody like family. We're probably 75% regulars, and then we do have nice bit of commerce coming in. Experience Grand Rapids, the downtown G-Yard. They do a great job of sending us new clients from out of town, and with the DeVos place coming in and other, commercial businesses that they've sent us a lot of business. So we have, a lot of new clientele as well, but our regulars are definitely our main crop of customers.
Right. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, very much so. We respect them more than anything. That's one thing we've learned throughout the years, and another thing we never let go of is always listening to our customer. It's extremely important. You know, it's every little comment they have is very, very important. There's nothing too small.
Okay. You know, along with having a lot of regulars and your farm to table, which we'll talk about later,
Sure.
how do you keep a menu fresh for those regulars, and how do you stay true to the restaurant's personality?
Well, one thing we've always said is there's never such thing as hard, too hard to work. We're never going to not do something because it's hard. So um, it's one of those things that we're constantly looking at it. All our employees constantly look at the chefs are constantly creating, always trying to stay one step ahead of our competitor. We believe that is what's guides us into the future. If we don't, then they're going to do it.
Right.
And we like to be the forefront of that, when we can. But yeah, I mean, constantly creating, looking, testing, and trying those new things, developing new menus, tasting a lot of wines, tasting a lot of beers, creating cocktails. Our bar chefs work great at doing that. It's a never-ending process, but it's just part of who we are and what we've done and came to be. We really don't know any different at this point, so
Right.
it comes kind of naturally at this point.
Okay. And we just got a user question. What challenges do you face as a farm-to-table restaurant given Michigan's climate? But before we go into that, let's talk about farm-to-table. How did you get into it? And then why is it now kind of a staple at Bistro Bella Vita? And what are the benefits and drawbacks to it?
Sure. Well, there's both. I mean, it's Michigan produce. Obviously, we live in a four-season state that has an unfortunately long winter right now. So usually we're having asparagus and whatnot already. We're getting some, but not, nowhere near what the normal crops would be. We're hoping for morels here pretty quick. With the weather changing a bit, I think that's going to happen. We dealt with Ingerberg Farm about 15 years ago. We started buying from Ingerberg Farm in Rockford. Really realizing what he could produce on a small base for us. They've expanded a lot throughout the years, but then so have the farms, and they really have a lot more of them that are coming into process, and artisan cheese makers, and it's a plethora of farms. It's very flattering for what we get to do with them, and we love when they come into season. You can't, it's realistically, it's impossible to do all farm all year round with a restaurant of our size. We have Grove on Cherry, our newest restaurant. That one does extremely well. They're a little bit smaller base of restaurant, a little less seats, so they can do a lot more of that. Where we like to focus on our Mediterranean cuisine and still utilizing every possible farm that we can when they're in season. It's one of those things. It's fun to do. And we can't get enough. And building relationships up through the years is, we're all like family. We know each other. Talk about our families. Talk about food. We talk about the environment, what's going on. It's very, very important relationships for us.
Okay. Yeah, that culture of farm to table and local first and everything. It's really taken hold in Grand Rapids. What do you think the downtown market's gonna do for the city?
I mean, we're hoping for the best. I mean, it's a gigantic mecca where it's going to be over there, and I see it as being nothing but a positive for downtown. It's a lot of businesses that are going to be moving in there that we just don't have yet. With a fishmonger and a meat, local meats, and it's going to be really fun. A baker, and it's one of those things that's going to really bring a lot of more commerce to downtown.
Right. Okay. And then you talked about Grove. Let's talk a little bit about the other Essence restaurants. And
sure.
If you're a fan of Essence restaurants, I think you kind of frequent the three.
I do.
But how do you kind of choose between one or the other if you want a nice dinner?
It depends. For me, it's the day. I have children, so a lot of times we'll go to Greenwell during the day. It's just kind of the mood that people are in. We have a little. We like to say we have something for everybody every day. And as long as they're going to one of the restaurants, I'm happy. Bistro is a great downtown, venture. A lot of people come down here and then venture out to do different things. A lot of people will go to Grove. Grove's an everyday place as well. I mean, nobody's doing anything like that I know of. It's a a top-notch place with service. Their service and their food is exquisite. And Greenwell's, that we built it to be the gastro pub, and they do all 20 Michigan beer handles. Every restaurant that we have is all scratch food. I still say this to this day. We don't have a microwave. We don't have freezers, only for ice cream. It's one of those things that we take a culinary aspect of all of our restaurants very, very seriously.
Okay, great. Now let's talk a little bit on the bar side, because you guys have an extensive bar.
We do.
And kind of pride yourself in the collection of beers and liquors and wines and martinis.
Mm-hmm.
How do you? I guess it's the same sort of question as the menu. How do you keep them fresh? From wines, you always get new wines in. How do you find those? And then how do you pair them with your specialty menus or even just general menu?
First of all, pairing comes with just experience. It's one of those things, and tasting things and balancing umami, which is taste balance between food and wine, or food and beer, or food and even a martini from time to time. Cole, our bartender, our bar manager, does a lot of we try a lot of new liquors, and you try to, like I say, stay a step ahead. A lot of new stuff comes out. We build cocktails with those. We were developed as a martini bar. A lot more people are balancing wine with food, but the martini concept is still huge here. We still do the handshake and tableside martini. It's still extremely popular here. With wines, we taste a lot. Vendors bring in wines, unbelievable amounts every week, and you have to taste through them and really know what our clientele has come to expect, and that's what we do every week. With the martini building, that takes a little bit more of because you're really creating and crafting something, as it would be like for a brewery or something else. It takes a little bit more time to get into that, rather than just tasting. And we love to serve Michigan products as much as we can. That's important to us too. Michigan's coming out with a lot of new artisan liquors now, which is nice, besides just beer. So yeah, it really is one of those never-ending processes. You just have to keep on it and keep seeing what's new, so it doesn't get stale or old. And it works out very well.
Right. I want to hear from the manager's side. What do you think would happen if you just kind of went stagnant?
Unfortunately, we've come to see that, in some of the places that have. And you see restaurants, and I've been here a long time, and you see restaurants come and go, unfortunately for some, but it's almost when you give up that real passion that you hold in the restaurant business. And we all feel it. I see this business, and it's just, sometimes I'll be watching out on the floor on a weekend night, and I'll watch everything just kind of fluidly work, and it works. And I'm so passionate, it brings tears to my eyes sometimes, seriously. And the passion that we have, and it works, but when you lose that, and if you really don't have that anymore, it's evident in a lot of places, and you'll feel it. As a customer, you would feel it, and then you just it's discerning to you, and it's one of those things. I don't know if you'd want to come back,
right.
And we take that every week and take that into heart. So
okay, we have another user comment. Again, back to the downtown market. Is that going to alter what you're able to do here at Bistro, or not really?
I don't think so. It's one thing we've always done is stay very true to our concept, especially with our regular menu. We want to stay Mediterranean, Italian, French, Spanish. We really want to stay to that, true to our concept. And we have a really good time we have a feature sheet every weekend and every night. We do a prefix menu on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And I don't think it's gonna, if anything, I just think it brings more people. It's gonna be a nice place for people to come. It's another market for our growers to come see their produce, see the things that they bring, that they grow. I know it's a grow-only market down there, so it's only what people can harvest out of the earth. So it's gonna be fun. We're nothing but looking forward to it.
Okay. Just a reminder, you can submit user questions down below the video. Here we go. GR's first beautiful spring weekend is coming up. What martini on your menu would you suggest to celebrate?
That's a great question. We have a plethora of them. There's, I would do a fruity, just because we haven't had this in so long, and everybody is so looking forward to this. Our patio will be open Saturday night, so people know that. It'll be the first time it's open this year, obviously. But we have, I would say, I like the plum crazy. It's a great, made with pear puree or plum puree. We have one with a pear martini, which is really popular. I could see sitting on the patio and having a cucumber martini. That one is awesome with infused cucumber vodka, infused with real cucumber. We have so many, and who knows, we won't have one to celebrate spring coming in this weekend.
Now that I've kind of gone through most of my questions, I want to go back to something we talked about a little earlier with the flood. What did the flood do to your business, if anything?
It didn't impact us very much. I mean, we have our brother in here downtown that's right next to us, and unfortunately, it did damage some places. They had a lot of places that had extensive damage, and you take that seriously. Fulton Bridge even closed over here, but we really didn't see it. Bistro's become one of those spots. It's a destination place. So if that road's closed or this road's closed, our customers are very kind to us, and they'll find their way to get here. But it didn't really impact us too bad. Our hearts go out to the ones that it did impact, and you feel bad, but we really didn't see any loss of commerce from it or any real general things. I mean, if anything, more people were saying, well, I'd rather go out to eat than think about this right now, or we've worked all day on getting the water out of their basement or whatnot, so they want to come enjoy a nice dinner after that.
Okay. That being said, I know sometimes there's been some power issues here, and with all the fresh food, no freezers, obviously, and it's hard to keep it cool. What do you do in that situation with all the fresh food?
Well, fortunately, we have very good vendors that we buy from, and a lot of them have refrigerated trucks. So it's definitely a process. A few years back with Kenny Chesney was in town, so last night I was on pins and needles because I didn't want to jinx myself and have it happen again, but our power went out. And we had about 450 people in the books. So we displaced them at other restaurants downtown that we know that could get them in and still make them have a good time and get them to the concert on time. So it's one of those things where you have to move everything to a refrigerated truck and wait for the power. And I've developed some few friends at Consumers Energy now, so it's easier for me to find out when it's going to come back on. It's tricky with anything else in the business. It's one of those things you got to deal with.
Right. Okay. You guys do a lot with Local First. I know Essence is one of the kind of staples of Local First. In June, we have Local First Street Party right outside.
We do.
What are the benefits of Local First, and what do they do for restaurants, specifically Bistro?
we can't say enough for what they've done. Alyssa at Local First has just always been a staple over there, and she's, we've worked together for so long that they've brought us business. I mean, we've done the street party year after year after year. The ways that she's impacted, and just in them bringing the awareness to people spending money in our own environments. And people, with the economy up and down, people always wonder. I think some people will go out to eat less, so then they'll pick. They're a lot more picky about where they wish to spend that money. So, and fortunately, we've become one of those spots where people do hit more often. And our regulars, we have regulars that will hit us 3 to 4 times a week due to that. So bringing that awareness to our local economy downtown is something that they've done downtown and even around. They've done a great job with. I can't say enough good things about them. Very good relationship.
Okay. Here's another comment. Talked a little bit about handling high traffic during busy weekends, but can you talk specifically about Art Prize's impact?
Art Prize's impact is gigantic every year. That is one you have to be ready for months in advance, just because it hits us so hard. It's one of the best events, if not the best event that's ever been brought to Grand Rapids. It brings people together of all types, and it's a very refreshing thing downtown. It makes it fun environment. The foot traffic is amazing. The new people that come to see the restaurant that have never been here. People from Chicago, people from New Buffalo, people from Detroit, people from everywhere around come down to see Grand Rapids. It's a nationally known event now. People from everywhere come to see it, and it's such a cool time to be downtown, and it brings us a ton of business. It does. There's everywhere downtown. I mean, the first years they were running out of food, running out of everything you can imagine because they were so busy, and now people just stock up for it and get ready, and it's become an ever-changing thing every year. but it still always rock solid. So it's a very fun event we look forward to.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the graduation thing.
Sure.
We have 700 some students, ending their college career tomorrow, and you probably have a lot of reservations on the books.
We do.
How do you kind of keep that going, and how do you facilitate the tables and make sure they don't stay too long so you can meet your other reservations?
Well, we pan them out. We don't want to rush anybody. You run into sticky situations sometime, but we pan them out pretty well. Want to make sure people have a good time. Us being a larger restaurant, fortunately, on that day is one of the great, when you asked earlier about the size of the restaurant, that's a day where it's very nice. We take a lot of tables in the banquet room. We take tables in the dining room. It floods us for a while, and it's one of those things where it's just like working on a Friday or a Saturday. You do it twice because you're doing it at lunch, and then we kind of re-rack everything up, and we go right into dinner again. And it's a fun day. It's a long day, but it's a really fun day. The staff always looks forward to doing it.
Okay. A couple more questions coming from the editors, and another user comment.
Sure.
One. How much more room do you see in the downtown landscape for more restaurants?
There's always more popping up, but at the same time, unfortunately for some, you see some go away. So it's the ones that are different, and people are trying different concepts down here. That's what we look forward to. It's different places to go because a lot of us just travel between the 3 restaurants, and there's some other ones that we like to go around to downtown too. So I don't see it ever really becoming an issue. I mean, there's more and more restaurants, and you can't have 500 restaurants, but there's always room for growth. We don't think of it as like I said, we don't think of it as a negative thing. It's just one of those things that it's prosperous. It's proven that way. We used to worry, oh no, this new restaurant's opening, how's that going to impact our sales? And we've learned throughout the years, just stay true to what you are and work hard. And your regulars are coming back all the time, so it's nothing. We don't look at it as an issue. I look at it as a positive.
Right. You said it's about 75% regulars. I don't know if that's a rough estimate.
Sure.
But what's the dinner mix, kind of walk-in reservation, destination, tourist?
We have quite a few business. A lot of it's regulars, like I said, and then the rest is tourism, DeVos Place. People outsource. The Amway can only hold so many over there. They're very nice, and the JW, I can't say enough good things about them sending us clients on a day-to-day basis. So then we build those new repertoire with customers, and then we have people come in that, hey, I was here last year. Our conference is in. I'm going to be in every day. We're here, so it's, all right. It's very nice. So, but we, generally it's a lot of regulars. We have a lot of new clients. We try to hang on to those clients and show everybody they equal good time at Bistro.
Okay. So, you've talked about Bistro increasing every year, with numbers and customers. Well, why specifically is that, besides just staying true to who you are?
I think that's boiling down to what it really is. We just try not to lose focus, and really try to give the customer what they want every time. Give them something that they can count on. That's a big thing. Sometimes when you go out, you really don't know what to expect or what you're going to get. And, I know when you come here, you're going to get what you deserve. And, we don't feel good if you get anything less. We're not perfect, but we do our best to try.
Okay. Beyond the Essence restaurants, what places stand out to you in the area or the region? I assume to eat.
To eat, yes. For my wife and I, we like to go out. I have 2 small children, so we don't get out too much. But we really like the Reserve. I like 616, Sanchez. I like Reds on the River, primarily because it's by my house. Trillium Haven is another good one. There's a lot of them. I try to obviously hit local places, so I'm not going to hit on the chains, but because like I said, local first, we want to bring it back in our own economy, so
right.
It's something we try to focus on. I think most of our group does too.
Okay. Let's see if this is. What's in the future for Bistro Bella Vita? Maybe short term in the summer to long term. I don't know how far in the future you look, but what's in the future?
Well, we always forecast for the future. More clients. Hopefully, we always want to see it grow. Here's the downtown, out of our 3 restaurants, is the biggest opportunity, I think, for growth. I mean, it's obviously the busiest one, but we also are the biggest one. So we do have room for growth, and we always look for any possible way to new and cutting edge stuff down here. Right now, we're just going to get ready because with the patio, we increase the tables and the size of the restaurant. We look forward to doing spring and different dinners and just every opportunity we can do to grow a business in the summer. Summer's always one of our it used to be that we would slow down pretty dramatically in the summer because a lot of our clientele goes to the lake or there are a lot of vacations and whatnot. When some places, obviously the lakeshore feels the opposite effect. They're busier, and but the last few years we haven't seen that downturn in business in the summer. I mean, some of it maybe played on the economy, but like I said, we try very hard to keep that client coming in, and anytime they're here, we wish they'd come in.
Right. I think that's kind of funny that you're the oldest restaurant of the 3, but it's got the most room to grow.
Sure.
Is it just because the other places are so small?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with size. I think all the restaurants are very, very popular. They're all doing very well. Grove is knocking it out of the park. They were lucky enough to, and deserving enough to get the Restaurant of the Year award.
2 years in a row now from our sister publication.
Yep. So Essence Restaurants had 2 in a row, which is very flattering from the people and our customers. I can't say thanks enough. They treat us well, and they have throughout the years. It hasn't always come easy. We've had our struggles in the past too. It's just one of those things I always say in the restaurant business: if you learn from your mistakes, you're going to be okay. But if you don't, you keep making those mistakes, sometimes it can be.
Okay. Apparently, I have one more marketing question coming
Sure.
straight from the newsroom.
No problem.
What does it take to market the brand and each place? So
Sure.
I guess how do you market? I guess Essence, and then how do you separate the 3?
It's not really that difficult because they all have their own identity. We stay true to Mediterranean down here. Grove is that finely prepared food, very high touch service. Greenbell's very, very high volume, high turnover in the restaurant. They're always full. It's more of it's a gastropub, so it's come and go, and come as you are kind of thing. And Bistro is one of the ones where we have all different kinds of traffic. When it comes to marketing, we have to market for Mother's Day, we have to market for Easter's. Anything we're going to be open for, we have to make sure that we're staying on top of it.
And I guess it's a user question from Facebook and
Sure.
how to marketing standpoint, from a creative standpoint, but that's not really you guys, right? Is that a third party
For
marketing?
We use the Image Shop.
Right.
Yep, and they do a wonderful job. They take good care of us and make sure that we're hitting on the bases that we need to, because a lot of times we are swamped here, so they kind of take care of the outer aspects of that. They work with us very collaboratively every week.
Okay. And then I think that's about all we have. I'm not getting anything else, so I'm going to finish with one question.
Sure.
If I were to come to Bistro either tonight, tomorrow, even
Sure.
though that's unlikely because it's going to be packed, or next week, what would your suggestion be to get, maybe plate-wise to drink-wise?
Depends on the mood you're in.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have a wonderful feature sheet. We have a very solid menu to order from. We have a ton of popular dishes. We have some really wonderful pastas that we've had for years because they've become staples here. We have some great entrees with beef bourguignon, filet mignon, a very nice salmon dish that we just recreated. And then for, as far as the wine program, we do specials on the wine as well. So there's different suggestions on the back. There's so many different ones. We're almost to rosés. I'm excited about that for the patio. That'll be a fun thing. But it's one of those things where our special menu is really cool because the chefs can be that much more creative that day, because those things are always new. And they run out during the evening because they're that creation for that day. So maybe we have 10, 15,
Right.
and that's it. And then once they're out, they're out. People really enjoy that. Our customer base, especially our regulars, love that part. And it's something we'll never change.
Great. All right, thanks again, Brad, for doing this, and thanks
Wow.
again, GrandRapidsBusinessJournal.com viewers and everybody who watched this. Until next time, I'm Pat Evans.